Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Katib Nabi'een sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That is, they have opened us and witness nothing is worthy of worship except Allah. Is one along with their partners also issues. And I also give open and witness that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his slave servant messenger and seal the prophets. Peace be upon the prophet, upon his descendants, upon his companions, and upon the righteous throughout the world. And peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. There is all the praise due to Allah, the evolver of all systems of knowledge. We're forever thankful to Allah, highly glorified as He for once again allowing us to unite for this wonderful day, Jumu'ah, and this part of the day when we come to praise Him, to seek His aid, His guidance, to beg for His forgiveness, and most of all to ask and beg for His mercy. Mercy is a very prevalent attribute throughout the creation, throughout the Quran. Allah tells us clearly that His mercy is so powerful, it's so prevalent. And we see that in every surah except one, He reminds us of the need for us to see how mercy operates in our lives. And all you have to do is look over your life, and you will see how merciful Allah has been to you. If you just review and reflect on your life, the opportunities, the benefits you've had in your life, you have to bear witness that Allah is the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Constant reminder. That's how we begin everything we do. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. He's the one who gives us grace. He's the one that gives us opportunity. He's the one that allows all the goodness. I don't care how trying life has been to you. You will see that His mercy is prevalent over all the misfortunes or the perceived misfortunes. Because sometimes the things we think are misfortunes are actually, as they say, blessings in disguise. So even through what we see as a misfortune, as we reflect on that, what do we draw from? See, most people, that's why if you read the Quran, Allah use a few words that you may reflect. A lot of people go through life and no reflecting. They go through life and just have all of these experiences. And they don't reflect on the experiences to draw from the experience. That's how you benefit from experiences, by reflecting, and then you pull from. You pull the insight, you pull the wisdom from the experience that will help you to be a better human being navigating through life. So even in the perceived challenge, there's mercy. Even in the perceived difficulty, there's some mercy. Allah constantly reminds us of the power of His mercy. So we begin everything, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. And we always talk about this benefit, because that's what the mercy is. It's a benefit. And all you need to do to remind yourself is how good Allah has been to you. So we thank Him for the Quran, we thank Him for Al-Islam, we thank Him for this deen. I was having a conversation with a young man, he's a Christian, and he said, you know, I got to get on my deen. I got to get back on my deen. And I'm listening to him, and I'm almost assuming he don't really know what he said, but what he said made sense to him. Because when most people think of deen, they think of Al-Islam. And that's not what deen is. That's why you read the Quran, it says, to the unbelievers, to me be my deen, until you be your deen. So in other words, to me be my way, until you be yours. The deen is a way. We say this is deen al-Islam. We say this is deen al-Fitr. This is the way of peace, the way of submission. Then we say this is the way of the natural order, deen al-Fitr, the way of the natural progression. This is an original way. This is not a way that somebody put together with all these different additives. This is a way that complements the original nature. That's why even after Ramadan we have what? Eid al-Fitr. It's the celebration of you working to bring that original nature back to a state of awareness of submission to Allah. So the deen is a way. And we said that this is the way of complete submission to Allah. And when you submit your will to Allah, you grow and evolve in excellence as a human being. When you submit your will to Allah, you come into the awareness that Allah said He positioned you in earth as the ruler. In fact, He says one verse that if you are indeed believers, you will have the upper hand in the land. See, this is the way that moves you into power. This is the way that moves you into the awareness that you realize that Allah says you are Khalifa in the earth. You're the ruler, but then you realize that I'm benefiting from somebody else who paved the way. I'm the inheritor of their affairs, of their activities, of what they built. I'm benefiting from that. So this is a way that leads to intelligence. This is a way that inspires you to say there's greatness and I can do great things in the world. This is a way through submission to Allah, you assume the position of self-mastery. That's what this way does. This way allows you to realize your position in the earth, as Allah says, you are the shaheed, you are the witness bearer of what it means to be an evolved, dignified, and productive human being. Now Allah said, those who we give them power in the land, He wants you to have power, they will make the salat and they'll pay the zakat. See, He said that when you get your power, which He wants for you, you won't forget about Him. You're going to make the salat. See, some people get power, they get possession, they get influence, and they forget all about Allah. So then their real power diminishes, because your real power is realized through your submission to Allah. And then you go out into the world and you reposition yourself. Even if you fall off, through this deen is how you reposition yourself. That's why you have the GPS. The GPS lets you know when you get off course, it says, like it's relocation. I forgot the word that don't come to me right now, but it's retracking. Because you missed a turn. You ride and you put the GPS is taking you to your destiny. It says recalculation. That destiny is already locked into the GPS. It's programmed to take you to your destiny. But if you're riding on that path and you make the wrong turn, it says recalculation. And on this deen, if you get off track, Allah says He forgives you. He give you an opportunity to reposition yourself. He don't give up on you. Over and over again, Allah allows us to get our lives in order. So He said that those who, if we establish them with power in the land, Allah wants you to have power. Political power, economical power, educational power, culture power. He wants you to have power. You can't serve Him and be in a position of weakness. If you serve Allah, you are supposed to be the witness bearer of what it means to be a servant of Allah. How can you represent the all-powerful and you weak? He's powerful. And if you submit your will to Him, then you're supposed to grow into greater power. He said, those who we establish them with power in the land. Now watch this here. Somebody sent me this email. They sent me a text. It's the picture of a statue. And the picture of the statue is that it shows a Muslim in sajda. Somebody may have seen this before. It shows the Muslim in sajda. Then it shows on top, I want you to imagine this, then it shows on top of the Muslim, it showed a Christian on his knees praying, but he's on the back of the Muslim. He's praying. Then it showed a Jew, probably a rabbi, standing on top of the Christian with the Torah. They say it's in Spain. And when the Jew saw the statue, the Jew was upset. So the person said, why are you upset? We see the Muslim in prostration, the Christian on his knees praying, and you on top. He said, I'm upset, I'm disturbed because once the Muslim stand up, all of us fall. I hope you understand the point. See, once the Muslims stand up in the world, everybody else come down. So what happened is they work to keep the Muslim down, keep them oppressed, keep them misinformed, keep them in a spiritual bag, not engaged in what he called doing. He was no part of the world. So he has no real power. So he said, we see you on the top, but the awareness was, yes, we on the top, but once the Muslim rise up out of this position of sajda, that's why these positions are powerful. When you go down, Allah lifts you up. When you really come up, everybody else come down. Why? Because Allah clearly said in the Quran that this way of life, He will allow it to dominate over all other ways. That means you're supposed to have real power in the world. But you have to stand up. You have to take your, as we said, your rightful position in the world as the Khalifa, as the one who is the trendsetter, the blazer, one who's a pioneer, has already put things in motion that other people are benefiting from. So you tap into your creative power. That's why Allah talks about how He created the human being, and then it says, and blessed be Allah, the best of those who create. Now, if He said He's the best of those who create, there's other beings who are creating, but He said that of all of them, He's the best of those who create. Allah gave you creative power. That's why people are in awe about what they did on Facebook. They're in awe about what they did with Uber. But now you have to realize and come to this awareness is, when are you going to be in position as a servant of Allah, following the Quran, that other people begin to admire you? So that's real power. Because now these people I just mentioned, they influence the world. Amazon, high technology, they influence the world. But now you have the Quran. If you have the Quran, you're supposed to be leading the world. That's why they talked about the Renaissance. When the world went into the darkness, and it was the Muslim with the Quran who led them into what is called a rebirth, woke them up. They started reading the Quran and started seeing certain things. What's the man named Jacques Cousteau? He read the verse that said about in the ocean, there's a body of water, and one is salt and one is fresh, but there was an invisible barrier. And he not that he challenged, but he saw the verse and he went and found out it was true. And they never knew that even was there. Now, can you imagine there's an invisible barrier in that body of water where these two bodies of water don't merge? They have their own individuality. It said that there's an invisible barrier. So you have the book that can, turn the world on, because that's what it done then. It should do it now. That's why we began with the idea where Allah says that you may reflect. And we have to reflect on what has already been done, history. And if we don't reflect on history, we miss a whole lot of everything. Allah clearly tells us in the Quran about history. He tells us this about history. In their history, there is certainly a lesson for men of understanding. In their history, in those stories of yesterday, there's something that we can draw that can be applied to 2018. In their history, there's a lesson. But if you don't reflect, you miss the lesson. Here's something my brother Malik El-Hashiba's Malcolm X said. History is a people's memory. And without memory, a man or a woman is demoted to the lowest of animals. without memory. You moving on instinct. I heard one wise man say that most people operate out of their memory instead of their imagination. You know what that means? That means out of memory, you just going through the same cycle. Out of your memory. You ride home the same way. You walk out the house the same way. Everything is just memory. All the thoughts are just repeated. He said most people operate out of their memory instead of their imagination. There's nothing new. They're not forming any new pictures, new ideas to bring something new into existence. So the verse says their history, in their history, in these stories about what happened yesterday, are valuable lessons. And a lot of people are afraid to deal with history. For some people, it's painful. It's too painful to deal with yesterday. So we just act like it don't even exist. They make the experiences, less effective. There's nothing to draw from it that will make you better. Because those who came before you already went through showing you what works and what doesn't. That's why I said from the beginning, we reflect. And when we reflect, we are drawing from the experience. And when we draw from the experience, now we're able to apply the lessons from the experience today, which are designed to make us better human beings. Why? Because we're thinking. That's why the Quran says, think, for surely thinking is profitable. A lot of people don't think. They're operating out of memory. That's not thinking. And thinking has everything to do with asking yourself questions about an experience. Thinking there's no heavy scientific stuff to thinking. It's just that you ask yourself a few questions about the experience. That's why the number one tool of any lawyer, the lawyer's power, his greatest power, is one word: a question. And through a series of questions, he can weaken his opponent. That's why you see a lawyer file a bunch of questions, pop, 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 to get you to think, and then to get you to lose a thought, get you to think, get you to lose a thought. That's why in the court when they say, we're going to have deliberation. And deliberation merely means we're going to think about this. We got to go and deliberate. We got to think about this matter. We got to put it on the scale of facts and weigh it out. And then who was the most persuasive in the delivery of questions? See, one question can create all kind of doubt. So the power is in the question, being able to raise the right question that can cause a person to move forward or allow a person to stay stuck. The power of a question. Because a real question gets a person in pursuit of. That's the root word of question, quest. You get into pursuit of looking for information. That's what a question is really designed to do, to get you in pursuit of information. So Allah says that in their histories, there's certainly a lesson for men of understanding. That's why the Bible says, of all you're getting, get understanding. We got to get understanding. We have to understand what's going on. If we're going to have real power in the world, we have to understand the workings of the world. Allah tells us how the world operates. But I want you again to imagine that picture I gave you. That the Muslim is in sajda, the Christian is on top, on his knees praying, and the Jew is standing up with the Torah. And the Jew says, after being asked, why are you disturbed by this? You on top. He said, yes, for now, but not when the Muslim stands up. When the Muslim stands up, we fall. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, so this revelation, powerful book, the Quran. The first revelation itself, powerful words, powerful word. Goes back to what Bible says. In the beginning there was the Word, showing us the power of a word. And that first revelation is what the human being must do more of. Read. I remember there was a campaign, an educational campaign here in America many, many years ago when I was a little boy. It just said, reading is fundamental. Reading is fundamental. The more you know, the more effective you'll be. That's why we read Al-Fatiha, we say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All of this body of information. As Imam Muhammad taught us, he said that Alameen is the systems of knowledge. All of these worlds that you need to know about the political world, you need to know about the scientific world, you need to know about the world of your own body, anatomy. This information is powerful. So from the very beginning, Allah says, through Muhammad the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Iqra. The first revelation shows us how powerful and important it is for us to read. That you should be having books. I talked to the average person, I said, let me ask you a question. Do you have a library card? Look at me like I'm crazy. In fact, I asked him another question. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you was in a library? And I go to a library all the time and see small numbers of people, see more little kids in the library with volumes of books. And I'm not just talking about reading the Quran. Allah said, read. This whole process of being informed, because the more you know, the more effective you'll be. How much have you read about your own body? In fact, how much do you know about your own body? You leave that precious instrument that Allah gave you, that body with all kind of potential, you leave that to other people to tell you how it works. That most people know more about their car than they do their body. They don't know anything about cells. They don't know anything about how you clean your body, but you make sure you get an oil change every so often so that your car can run better. But how much time have you taken to read about to know how your body operates? How does your spirit function? And then you realize, and then you come back to this ideal of awareness, and you become aware of what kind of spirit are you operating under. So the Quran is great. Allah says, behold, your evolver said to the angels, I am about to create man from sounding clay, from mud molded into shape. When I have fashioned him in due proportion and breathe into him of my spirit. You're talking about the Ruh Allah, the Spirit of Allah. Fall you down in worship, obeisance unto him. Aid him. See, Allah says when he breathed of his Ruh, that's when the human being became a living soul. The Spirit of Allah can work wonders in your life. And the question I ask you is, what spirit are you operating under? Because when Allah said he breathed of his spirit into you and you became a living soul, you have to realize that now because of that, you have been wired to inspire, that you can inspire other people. Why? Because Allah put his spirit into your body. That when you speak, when you act, when you conduct your affairs, you can be an inspiration to people. Because the human being longs to be inspired. People are waiting to be moved. So when Allah said he breathed of his spirit, his ruh, then the human being became a living soul. You know what I mean? Dead people we got operating in the world. I'm talking about spiritually dead, mentally dead, morally dead, politically dead, intellectually dead, culturally dead. They are what you call the deaf, dumb, and the blind. And they need to be inspired to move from where they don't want to be to where they want to be. Poverty is a spirit. And I look around and move around in society, I see so much poverty, it is a shame. With all that Allah has blessed us with, all the opportunity in our midst, in front of us, people have been comfortable to accept a lifestyle that is deep in poverty. And poverty ain't going to inspire you to do much of anything. Poverty is not going to take you to your highest level. Poverty is going to keep people stuck in pain. And it is our job, our responsibility, to call human beings to a better life, to inspire them with the ideal that you can be more than who you are right now. That's why we take on all of these names. You know, people take on a name. They take on the name because the name shows them what's possible for them to become. That's why you take a name. And you don't take a name on because the name sounds good. You take the name on because the name is moving you to become more of that. So all of us should be striving to be Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is Muhammad? Muhammad is not just one who praises much. Muhammad is one who praises Allah much. Muhammad is one who praises Allah much. And if you look at Muhammad in the Arabic, it looks like a man in sajda. Again, the Jew said when the Muslim rise, see when he come out of sajda, when the Muslim rise up with that strong spirit, because Allah said he breathed of his ruh into the human being, and then he became a living soul. When he rises up with the spirit of Allah, he takes his rightful position in the world. And he's moved with the idea that he loves human beings. He moved with the idea that his faith moved him to care for other human beings. Here's a powerful hadith you've heard it 1,000 times. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said that none of you truly believe until you love and want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself. Now imagine if more believers was moved by that hadith. What kind of world would we have? None of you truly believe that your faith is based on you wanting for others what you want for yourself. You want respect for yourself, you want it for other people. You want progress for yourself, you want that for other people. You want prosperity for yourself, you want that for other people. Here's a spirit that will take you up. Because then there's love. See, there's a spirit of love, which is a protecting and an inspiring force. The ideal of love lifts you up. The ideal of love makes you much more likable. You know this ideal called likability? See, if we serve Allah, we got the right spirit, we are supposed to be likable. Because likability is a powerful force that draws people into you. That's why we love Muhammad the Prophet, because we see all in his story that he was a man that was likable. And the likability factor takes you far down the road. So if we move with this idea that none of you truly believe until you love or want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself, when we move with that spirit, we create the conditions where life can grow. That's what love does. Love creates an environment where the life is being nurtured. This is not barren land. As those who submit their will to Allah, we're not living under barren conditions. We're living in fertile conditions. And that love stimulates the life that's in that land, that's in your body. So Allah says, and when he breathed of his spirit into the human being, or that human being becomes a living soul. That human being now is moved with the spirit to what? Serve. And then he says, and when he said that to the angels, after he breathed of his spirit, then all the angels, all the forces of nature work for you. Don't you know that? This verse says that after he breathed of his spirit, he said, fall you down. That all of the forces of nature work for your progress. I hope you understand that. That's what all the angels do. Those are forces of nature that work for you. So Allah said after he's awakened this human being is wired to inspire other people. What you do, you should do it so well that it becomes an attractive force. Everything you do, why Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when the believer endeavor a task, they seek excellence. Whatever you do, no shabby jobs, you seek excellence. You seek to do your best, because if you're driven with this ideal of excellence, that means that you are accelerating, you're going up. That's what excellence is. Excellence is you going up. I went to school before and they told me I got excellent on the test. Excellent. I mean, I did real good. And the teacher said when she gave me excellent, it inspired me to do more. I want to do better. There's a standard of what you can become. That's what I said, when you take on that name, you don't take on a name because it sounds good. You take on that name because that name is helping you to evolve and to becoming more, to become better. So now you see yourself as a servant working to contribute and impact life. So the verse says, and when he breathed of his spirit, bow you down, prostrate, and aid his man, his woman, the one that he is awakened and giving them the sensitivities so they can go out to the world and make an impact, change, and inspire growth. So the Hadith said, none of you truly believe that if we're really connected to this Hadith, a belief in love, that's what's in this Hadith, belief in love, yuhibbu, love. In fact, yuhibbu, it comes from the same word of a seed. Yuhibbu, love, the seed. And when you put the seed in the earth, the seed blossoms, it grows, and it contributes. That's what love does. And when that love is stimulated, when that love is activated, when that love is nurtured, we can do wonderful things. If we just care, love each other, work with each other, be willing to struggle. I asked you a question before. I said, what is your jihad? So you have to find out what is your struggle. The Quran said, work you in your place. See, what is it that inspires you? What is it that you love? What are you passionate about? That you can see yourself working to renovate and elevate society. Working to renovate and elevate this masjid. Where we're being taught, we're being informed. We're being taught and told that you should work to be more. We have to get past average. We should be working for dominance. Not dominance to control, but to prevail. This is not a lightweight message. This is not a we talked before from the very beginning. This deen, this way is not a lightweight way. This is a heavy way. This is a way to develop strong human beings. You are inspired by Allah, and he said he breathed of his root into you. If Allah said he breathed of his spirit into you, are you powerful? Now, how are people in the society, people in the world who have not yet even been taught that God breathed of his spirit into them, how can they outdo us ever? He ain't never been turned on with the idea that Allah breathed his spirit into him. But we marvel over. But find out what you're passionate about. And find out what you can contribute to the world. and find out what can make your legacy, strong and impacting this what you gave to the world, and the world has been better because of something you gave to it. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.